That sound never ceases to make me happy.
Well, you designed it. Yeah.
So, well, good morning. Good morning. Um, I am doing almond chocolate milk, not coffee this morning. Just not gonna lie. I was feeling
Almond.
like a kid.
Is that the mushroom coffee as well?
No,
Is that
no, it's
no?
almond. It's almond milk with chocolate in it.
Oh, okay. I don't
Yeah,
like
it
almond.
doesn't. It tastes just like milk to me.
Not to
I
me.
yeah,
No,
I drink it.
but that's not because I'm old. It's got to be because I'm old. I don't have that taste. So yeah.
Well, the problem is that the milk, in about a half hour, I'll have be popping tums, and I don't want to do that.
Oh, from
Dairy
milk
milk.
for dairy. Wow.
Yeah, any type of dairy. And some people say, well, you could do pasture, not, whatever they do with the pet's milk or whatever. And I'm like,
Do raw milk. It's better for you.
raw milk, but raw milk is the same thing.
Does it? Oh
So,
wow.
yeah.
Now, when I was young, before we had all of this, when the cows would have green onions in the fields, I could
Right.
taste young onions in the milk. And my mother used to say, "You're crazy." I could. And I finally, one day, I was telling a doctor, and I said, when I was young, I could taste the onions in the cattle when they're out in the field. He said, "Yes, you can." He said, "Yep, I did too." And I thought, there you go.
Yeah, why wouldn't you be able to?
Well, a lot of people don't. I mean, I've got such a sensitivity to what I eat. And texture never did bother me until I got older. And texture really bothers me now if I'm eating
Mm.
something. Well, a good example was when we went to that restaurant and you had a bubbalo or whatever that was. Oh, I thought
I
I was
wasn't
going
gonna, I
to.
wasn't gonna bring it up. You brought it.
I mean, I haven't gotten over it because it was like this. So oh, I thought I was going to. Ooh, it was all
She
texture. It had
had,
nothing to
she
do with
was.
the taste.
We had her get Thai tea with bobo in it, and
Mm.
the little uh,
Bubbles.
yeah, they're like yogurt bubbles, and
No, they did not taste that way, or they did not feel that way. They went down, and it was just like, oh, it was like I couldn't even. I was
and I
just.
love them. I think they're great. I think
It,
and you have to have a big straw to drink them, and then the reaction she had, I'd never seen her react that way, and I had to hold back laughter because I felt bad for her, and then I'd never seen her react like that to anything, and
Nothing. I've never had it. It smelled. It tasted or felt like a snot burger. Going down. It was slick and thick. It was awful. It
she
was.
had a
I mean, I
really
just
bad
didn't even know if I wanted
experience.
to swallow it. It was awful. It was awful.
She had a bad experience because we went to a Laos restaurant, and I think
Didn't
the
like
salad
it.
was very hot, and and the spice and stuff like that. So, anyways, good morning, everybody. I hope everybody is having a wonderful week. Mine is
How are
going
you?
fairly well.
You're having a wonderful week. You started work.
Yeah, actually, I really like it. I'm getting to be creative, which is my big thing. And remember what I asked for? I asked for if I had to go back to work, I needed to work where they respected me and valued me,
Mm-hmm.
and and they started from the very beginning. They texted me at the very beginning before I even got the job, before I even interviewed, said, just so you know that this job is only pays a certain amount. And at the time, I was like, well, I need work, so absolutely, let's go for it. So, but the interesting part about it is they interviewed me, and they even brought up in the interview that this is not a management position. So they were very transparent about that, and I said, that's fine. Well, they ended up paying me more than their cap.
Mm.
They didn't even bring it up to me. They just, when they got the offer letter, was quite a bit more with a sign-on bonus. And I thought, well, that's really cool. That means that they value
Which,
me. I mean, it's still not as what I'm used to making, but at the same time, I just wanted to make a certain amount, and then I didn't necessarily want to be a manager anymore. So unless it came with some respect and not all the stress that comes with being a manager. So and then literally after Milton, I hadn't even started working there yet, and they had texted me just to make sure I was okay. So I technically wasn't even their employee yet, and they were just checking in with me. So, and feedback on start dates and stuff like that, because the hurricane kind of set that back. And and then I got in there, and then the benefits were paid for by them.
There's something with their earphones. They go out in and out when you lean forward.
I don't know.
I
I
don't
don't know.
know.
I'd say the
It's fine
but
right there.
but I mean the reality, the thing I'm saying is that I haven't worked for a company that has treated their employees well, and I can't even remember how long.
Hmm.
And I mean, I've had elements where I like people and that kind of stuff, or but it hasn't been where I've had some pretty traumatic employment experiences. And yeah, my resume looks really good, but when you have CEOs yelling at you all the time, and or watching them yell at other managers and never taking responsibility for their mistakes, that's not a fun environment to work in. I don't care
No.
how much the salary is. And so those are things that I really think that when we start taking back our power and saying to the universe, I want something with respect. And yes, there is divine timing and divine order and natural law and all that kind of stuff. But I don't necessarily think value has to do with money. Value has to do with how you're treated, how you feel at the end of the day. Do you feel good about the work that you did? All that kind of stuff. And yeah, of course, we all have dreams and things like that we want to work on. But at the same time, all that happens when it's supposed to. And you don't know the skills you're learning along the way. So, but breakfast. Yeah. I was just telling Jamie I made him breakfast.
Uh,
So
oh, nice. So how things going with them?
good.
Good.
Yeah.
Is
They're
he?
doing good.
He's
Jamie's.
sleeping?
They were. I think I woke them up talking. So.
Oh,
Um, so yeah, the week's been great, and I mean there's just a lot of things for people to really start looking at. I mean, if you are miserable in a job or in a situation, in a relationship, get out. And I used to subscribe to the same idea, that's easier said than done. And no doubt things can be challenging, but I mean, why be in a situation that makes you feel miserable? I mean, it just doesn't even make sense. And
you'll
I've
find
done it.
it. Yeah, that's fun. Fun to be in a situation, even with the relationship. If you're not being honorable, let's go back to value. Value has nothing to do with money, like you said. It's about first of all, also, do you value yourself?
Yeah.
If you don't value yourself, you allow everybody else to devalue or not treat you nice. And I think that's when I really started growing up. Is I needed to value myself. I was working all the time as a teacher, and I wanted to jump through the hoops, and I wanted to do good. And you know what my problem is because I wanted to get the rewards of people appreciating me. But the fact is that a lot of times they did not appreciate me. They just used me more and more. And when you finally get used, you wake up to that, it changes your life, because I made a stand. I'm not doing that anymore with anybody. And that's
Yeah.
been like the last 27 years for me. So I've been very clear on who honors me. I honor them, and good
Right.
friends don't do that, and even bosses don't do that. So that tells you they
Yeah. I
don't
mean,
really.
that's one of the things that, well, because they don't really respect themselves. And the one boss that I think about is the one that he was a real ass most of the time, and he would work. He expected everybody to work like him, 12, 14 hours a day and not have a life.
It was his work.
Huh?
It was his business, wasn't it? It was his.
Well, no, it was he became the CEO. It wasn't necessarily his business, but he made a lot of money off of
Okay.
it. So, I mean, he was making enough he didn't have to worry about anything. And then he used to say that people were lazy and they don't want to work and all that kind of bullshit. During COVID, we were telling him about we need to really send our employees home and have them work from home. And we said United Healthcare, which was next to us, was working from home. And he says, well, United Healthcare has money. We don't. And what are they going to do when they don't have insurance? Because we can't pay for the insurance. They're not going to be able to pay for if they get sick then. Use some effing common sense.
Oh,
And
wow.
and that's how he would talk to us. And I was like, well, here's the deal. I remember this conversation. I said, a lawsuit because you didn't take people's feelings into consideration and their well-being in consideration costs a lot more than sending them home. So maybe you won't want to think about that. Can you afford that? 2 days later, it was miraculously his idea for everybody to go work at home.
That a lot of people are like that. Make them feel like that was their idea, and they jump right on the bandwagon.
I
So
used to
yeah,
feel like I was married. I'd give my husband my idea, and then it would be his idea miraculously
well,
somehow.
that was what
So,
I did. I had a marriage like that
yeah,
because he didn't
yeah,
think I was smart enough to do that. I was a dumb blonde as far as my ex-husband thought. So
yeah.
yeah, and then I would flip it and say, this is what I think, but you never say I. I know you can do this. And then, and then all of a sudden he'll come in. I remember when he did it several times and he's, well, I decided to do this. And I thought, I used to get really mad about it. But if you really want to get your will, you just agree with and say, oh, that's great. You still got what you wanted. So, yeah.
Well, and I think that that's one of the key things. I was thinking about this too when we think about the different paranormal and spiritual experience. And I'm thinking, like, when you think about the term demon, it is that is the basis, an archetype of a narcissist.
Yeah.
And will gaslight you, make you maybe even seem so sweet, but when they're being sweet and cunning and all that kind of stuff, they're still manipulating you.
Absolutely.
And so,
What narcissist does, they bring you in, they coax you in, and then they go bam and hit you as hard as they can.
yeah,
Get thrown out again, and you think, then they, oh, I'm sorry. Come on back. I
and
love
then
you.
and then somehow it's your fault, or it's
Oh, everything's your fault.
yeah,
Everything's your fault. No matter what they do, it's your fault. So yeah, I lived with one, so I know.
yeah.
And you
So,
really did. My whole marriage was I was trying to always run, to assist, and I'd ask him, what in the world is wrong? Did I do something? The minute you say, what is there something that I did? You are already out because that's what they've been waiting for you to say in the first place. See, I told you it was your fault. If you never shut your mouth. And now one time I remember my husband at the time, he hammered his nail, his thumb. He was hammering, and it hit his thumb. And he came back and I'm in the kitchen cleaning up or whatever I was doing. He said, look what you made me do. And I went, I was here. He said, if you would have just listened to me. And I'm thinking, oh my, I just walked out of the room. I did. That's when I started really becoming more awake to it because there was no way I could have done anything up to his, fit thumb at all. So I started laughing and I just walked out. I said, I'm done. I'm getting ready to get done with all of this. So yeah, it is truth. I mean, when you really work with a narcissist and you're feeling like it's you all the time, then you really do. I got very emotionally distraught. I don't want to give that out for some reason today. So, but no, it's, I'm glad I got out of that situation. And
well,
I
I
wouldn't
get it.
allow anybody else to do that to me again.
And a lot of people that watch the stream with us, they've been in those situations too. I mean, it's where somebody's always making them feel like they're not valuable enough, not smart enough. I mean, when I had a friend say that a partner of theirs said, well, the truth is I only tolerate you. And I've actually heard of more than one person of their partner or husband say that to them. And
Right?
I'm like, you know how you respond to that? And they're like, what? I'm like, you walk the fuck out. Well, we'll take care of that right now. If you just tolerate me, you don't ever have to tolerate me ever again. You'll just never see me again.
Well, that's a good
And
thought. But it took me almost 30 years to walk out of mine.
yeah,
So,
sure. it'd be a challenge for me too. It would have been a challenge for me 20 years ago or even 10 years ago. But I'm like now it's like I think I've told a few of my friends that have been kind of weird with me and making me, I've literally told them, I said, I had to break it to you. I don't actually need you.
Right.
And when they just gave me this weird look, and I was like, no, I actually don't need anybody. I choose to be around you. And you're acting like I needed you. No, I can actually be myself. I suffer from only child syndrome. So that means I can be by myself and for long periods of time and entertain myself because I had to do it when I was a kid.
Me too.
So,
Me too.
but
I'm an only child as well, so I don't, but I did need people when I was young because I wanted to play and have fun with all my friends, and everybody would go on vacation, and I would be left in the neighborhood by myself and my dogs. I had dogs as my sisters and brothers, so I would see the kids come out, and I would go out. That's why I was running out, and my mother said, "What did you do? Why didn't you stop?" And I said, "No, the kids are out." I would get excited because I never had any friends. And the friends that did come over in my neighborhood, there was a girl right across the street. They've been with us, there's my neighbor over 50, almost 60 years. And Dina came over and she was talking. She said, they had 6 kids in that little house right across from me. And she said, we would come over to your Christmas tree and you'd have all these toys and we'd just stare at it. That's all yours? And I thought, yeah, but you want to walk, you can play with them. I was so excited to see them coming in. So, yeah. And then my mother would say, you always let people tear your toys up or your clothes because you don't care. And I said, I don't care because they're having fun with me. So, it didn't scare me or upset me that they did that. They didn't mean to. I mean, they weren't being mean. It's just when a lot of kids start tearing your toys up. But I had a lot, and a lot of kids in the 50s didn't. So I was very fortunate with my mom and dad with that.
Yeah. So I have these two newlyweds walking around. Here in the condo. No, what? Why are you apologizing? I was just laughing. They were doing good, but this Airbnb we're saying it. So it looks really cute on the surface, and the internet doesn't work.
That's
and
what you
the guy
said.
has never responded back. And yesterday I cooked dinner and then I was washing some of the dishes, and the area where the garbage disposal is at, it gets backed up and literally starts leaking out the dishwasher on the floor. And so I'm like, and so the guy won't respond, and
They need to
booking.com.
report him. They need to report.
They are, but booking.com is not really doing a whole lot other than they gave Daniela a refund. So, and I was like, I was getting kind of nervous because he did respond. Oh, wow. So I guess he finally responded over the plumbing. But anything else he didn't answer, and he's got all these reviews on. So that's one of the things. Like, I don't want to. I mean, I travel a lot, and they travel a lot. So it's like one of those things where, I mean, you're always going to have a bad egg and a bad situation, somewhat, but you make the best of it. We've been kind of joking around about it, and making silly jokes about it. But honestly, the location we're at is right on Saddlebrook, which is a pretty famous golf course, and Jamie likes the pool, so he's been going swimming because he can't exactly swim in England right now. I'm sure it's probably very, very cold there. My friend Jamie, Virginia, she loves the cold, so she might want to come and visit you in England.
No. I came into England when I was in there in the summer, their summer, and in their spring. I never did go to their winter.
Yeah.
So, no, I didn't.
Yeah. So it's cold up in Kentucky, huh?
It is 55 right now, but it's going up about 80 this morning, but it's going to go back down to the 60s tomorrow night. So it's going to be up and down. That's what happens in Kentucky. It gets hot. You start out cold with the jacket. I remember doing this as a teacher. You start out cool, then by the end of the day, you have to take all of that off. It's like summer again. So you are really cold in the morning and hot in the night in the afternoon. So it's a constant thing switching off. So that's Kentucky, though. That part is Kentucky, or what I know of Kentucky anyway, because you never know what they really are planning for you. There was a thing on Facebook today about this guy. We have a weatherman named Jim Conway, I think Caudle or something like that. And he said that there was no such thing as weather manipulation. And boy, he shouldn't have said that, because I mean, they had patents coming up onto him. They're showing what they did. And I started laughing because I said, buddy, you'll never get through that, because there's too many of us that have known this for too long. I mean, you know, the governments even said they did. And so when Jim Caldwell, I think it's Caldwell, he came out
from the Weather Channel. That's the guy from the Weather Channel.
Channel in Lexington, and I always really respected him as a meteorologist. And I thought, he's lost his mind. And he got slammed this morning. I mean, and I thought, there's a lot of people in Lexington obviously understand this, because I've been talking about the HAARP for almost 20 years. Mm-hmm. So yeah, you know, it's people just don't understand if they don't do and then I always come back to, have you done the research? I mean, I had a doctor's appointment just 2 days ago, and I had a real conversation with my doctor about eczema. And I told him, I said, I've talked to people from all over the world. What is this deal on eczema? Nobody knows anything about eczema. They can't tell you. It's either an autoimmune, or it's a genetics, or it's this. And I looked at him, I said, you all are doctors. You're smart, aren't you? Why aren't you all figuring this out? And he said, where have you gone? I said, I've talked to people from France. I've talked to people from Canada. I've talked to people in London. I said, I discuss what's going on, if they know anything. Or I've had people that have had eczema and we can't figure it out.
I had it in my 20s, and then it went away. My mother used to have it really bad. So
what did she do? I mean, it comes and goes. I know that.
It would come and go. A lot of it had to do when she was very stressed.
That's what I think too.
And as a nurse, I mean, my mother had very stressful nursing jobs. They were like burn intensive care unit, cardiac surgery unit. And that's why she went out and started being an infusion nurse for a long time, because it was less stress. And then she became a hospice nurse. I'm like, but she actually enjoyed being a hospice nurse. She said,
I think
she goes, there's something rewarding in helping somebody transition with dignity and peace. So,
and that's what I've done a lot too, is get called in at the very last.
Yeah.
And I like that work, because you are being very beneficial to them. I mean, just being honest, and then me having a couple near-death experiences on top of it, it does give the family and the person a little bit more understanding of what's going on. So no, I don't regret any of that work at all.
I think a lot of things in our life are caused by stress, and I think there's substantial. I mean, when my blood pressure dropped as a result of not having as much stress. I mean, the level of stress that went on in my life from September of last year until August, almost a year.
Yeah.
And then I really just started, something happened. I mean, I'm not going to say I haven't had stress in the last few months, because I have, but not to the extent I was. And it was when I was sitting on that treadmill, and Damien and I were at the gym, and I thought, I'm free. And I will never be in another job or relationship or friendship or situation that makes me feel like crap again. It's just not going to happen. And that may make me be an asshole or a jerk, but I don't care. So, and I think I am going to get that T-shirt that says Generation X. We don't care. And there's a T-shirt, because what I found in my lifetime, and it's been all my lifetime, if you don't agree with somebody, they get annoyed, and then they try to convince you. And my standard answer is usually like, you're not going to convince me of this. And that makes them even more mad. So, and if I don't talk, it makes them mad. And that's been throughout my entire life. Me and Daniela were talking about, we were at a psychic fair like 4 years ago, and I just walked up and said, hey, do you want to go get something to eat after the psychic fair? And the lady that was sitting next to her says, "You're pretty arrogant, are you?" I'm like, "Just for asking her if she wants to go get something to eat." That's where you got that. And I'm not sure if it's because I'm 6'5" or whatever, the confidence I carry myself with. I really don't care, because if they had a problem, they should have just said, "Hey, what's going on with this?"
Well, first of all, why did they even butt in? You can
Right,
talk to somebody
exactly.
else.
That
Well,
happened, and that's happened, and that's I told Danielle, I said that's happened my entire life. Like, it's not a
somebody butting in.
yeah. Well, somebody talking shit or talking behind my back or making judgments about me. But the reality is you could be anything and do anything, and people make a judgment of you within the first 90 seconds.
Oh yeah.
And so, I mean, it's there's nothing you can do about it. And since I've been processing a lot, especially over the last year, what do you, the people that are watching, this is something you might want to do, and because it'll help you understand why things happened in your life, and it'll help you process the energy. And so, companies I've worked with, teams I've worked with, friends I've had, and friend groups I've been a part of, when you really go back and kind of sift, I call it sifting through the conversations, you'll
Yeah.
realize that people weren't working in your favor.
That's
And so,
never say anything to anybody of what you're thinking about doing. That's
right.
Catherine Ponder. She says it all the time. Don't go out and loudly, tell everybody what you're going to do. She said, because there'll be people in there that don't want you to succeed.
Well, yeah, and they're people that don't want to be. They don't want to be. They're afraid to be successful themselves. They're afraid to take steps forward. I mean, I've found out recently. Some people made judgments about the place I was living at. And so it's like, and I knew that to a certain extent, but I didn't. And it really comes down to, part of it is people don't understand how much things are costing now. And the what I've gone through in the last 4 or 5 years. Yeah, I had a great life in a sense, but things cost almost 3 times what they cost in Florida that they did in 2019.
Well, Florida used to be cheap to go in vacation.
What's that?
Many years ago, you could get a motel or somewhere on the beach and it'd be cheap. You can't do that anymore.
Yeah, it would be like, usually, it depends. I mean, you could probably still get something okay, but most of the time you're going to spend 250 to 300, sometimes 4 or 500 a night to stay on the beach. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
And
I have found Airbnbs for 150, that kind of stuff, that you walk, and you may not have the view of the beach from your room, but you can walk just a few steps and you're there.
right.
Um, but it's one of those things where it's just not the same as it was, and I'm not complaining. It just is what it is. You do what you need to. Like, I'm not one of those people. I don't even look at gas prices when I put gas in my car. But what I do know is that I don't beat people up, because people will project their anger on the cost onto you, and that's one thing that I am not okay with sometimes. Like, I don't really talk about a lot of things, because I'll say, I did this and this is how much it cost, and they're like, "Oh my god, you paid that much?" And I'm like, "Shut up." like I'm like, don't mess up my energy. And it's because of their own fear of money that they're doing it. And so those are things that you want to. That's why Catherine Ponder said that. She goes, don't get other people's energy involved in it. And it's one thing where, I talk about my goals with my business to a certain extent now, but I won't go into details about it anymore, unless there's a couple of people, and the closest people around me that I trust. So, because I found that, and previous people, you could feel that energy of, oh, he's just bragging, and I'm like, and it's just is what it is. So, but
So
anyways,
you do have a meeting tomorrow at 11:30
yes.
Eastern Standard Time. So people, if you really want to sit down with us and talk about it, we all are talking about this for 2 hours. Whatever you want to talk about, we talk about. We talk about spirit. We talk about life. So you send it out there, Jeremy, because that's where we're going to be tomorrow.
Yeah, it's mydivineinheritance.org, and what basically we help you process through stuff, and change the energy around it. So that's we spend 2 hours doing that. We keep it kind of a small group on purpose. So that is on mydivineinheritance.org, and they're called soulful groups. So
Yes.
All right, everybody, have a great week, and hopefully you all have a great weekend.
Yes.
Bye-bye.